Welcome to the Daily Telegraph NRL Podcast. I'm Michael Carayannis and joined by the boys. I've got David Riccio, Brent Reed.
Oh, good to be here, Mickey.
Great to be here.
So good to be here.
How are we, fellas? How are you, Reedy?
Mate, super.
You good?
Went to Wahlburgers last night.
What for?
Took the soccer team out. We had 50-cent chicken wings.
Nice. Yeah, so you spent
144 chicken wings I ordered.
What did everyone else eat?
Oh, wow. That shaming started already. That's a bit
How
harsh.
about you, Dave? So, you've had a busy week, mate.
Yeah, it's been busy, but it's good. It's rugby league, the game that never sleeps.
But we won't touch on David Fafita because by the time this podcast goes to air, we might have a decision. So we'll bypass that. But a yarn that you've been all over this week, Dane Gagai.
Yeah. Yep.
Had an offer from the Sydney Roosters, but opted to stay in Newcastle.
I thought he was going to go. I really did. There's an appetite from Dane to win a premiership before he retires, and he had to weigh that up on where the Roosters heading, coupled with the offer of a 2-year deal against a 1-year deal at the Newcastle Knights with a mutual option for a second season. Which really doesn't give you much guarantee of getting that second season.
Well, there's no guarantee, is
That's
there?
right, if you're a player. So, but ultimately, Dane's pretty settled up there, young family, in schools, and his wife is working up there also. So he just weighed up that family element and just has decided to stay with the Knights. But as I said, I thought it was a surprise. The Roosters don't miss too many guys.
What does it mean for Newcastle, Reedy, that he's not only turned down the Roosters but turned down a 2-year guarantee to stay for Newcastle for 1 year with no guarantee of a second season?
Well, it's a pretty positive reflection on the coaching up there and his belief in the squad. I think he's had a really good year, Dane Gagai. They've been a bit inconsistent, Newcastle, but he's actually been one of their better players this year. Shows no signs of slowing down. How old is he now, Dave?
34.
34.
That's the issue, right?
That's the worry, yeah.
And I think that I think Newcastle have played this well too. They keep him for 12 months guaranteed, and then if he's playing like the way he's playing now, it's a no-brainer that he rolls on for a further 12 months. But they minimise that risk that is associated with signing, he'll be 35 next year, a player of that age.
Am I right in saying you would have him in your Queensland team? Am I right in saying?
We did our Origin sides, they're not up yet.
Are they up
I've got him ahead of Valentine Holmes.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Valentine Holmes has been terrible this year, and anyone that wants to try and tell me that Valentine Holmes has been playing well has not watched any football.
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree, Mick, but something happens when Valentine puts a Queensland jersey on.
I agree. So same with Dane Gagai.
He's done that in the past. He's been in poor form,
not as bad as
and
he's
he comes
playing.
and plays for Queensland and scores 3 tries in a game.
He's so far out of form.
The reason I asked it is that's a reflection on how well Dane Gagai has been playing, not an indictment necessarily of Valentine Holmes.
Last year,
and that was it. It was a bit of a shock.
One of the great raps on Dane Gagai is 2 things. One, he rarely misses games. If you go through his career, he's playing 20 games plus.
Will be a 300 gamer potentially by the time if he sees out
in most seasons. The second point to that is, despite the fact that he's 33 turning 34, is he doesn't miss training sessions. And that's what the Roosters loved about him, given the vacuum of outside backs that they're going to suffer at the end of this year, is they drop Dane Gagai into the system and they know they're going to get a 20 gamer who's going to train every session and then teach their next crop of young outside backs how it would have worked. However, that's obviously not going to happen. But yeah, I think the Knights have got a win here, big win, because you can't come across experienced rep players who's playing at the level of what Dane is. You don't come across them every game, every week.
We'll go into our Origin sides probably a bit more in depth next week. But who are your Queensland centres?
I think I had Val and the Hammer. I just think Val's. Billy's a loyal type of guy, right? I think he
hasn't played Josh Papali'i, Felice Kafusi, Dane Gagai, all blokes that he's...
Yeah, you know your team well.
That have been mainstays in the last couple of years, that he sort of eased out the door.
But those guys are a bit older, right?
100%. 100%.
I don't think Val's not coming towards the end of their career where you've got to phase Val out. I mean, Val's still... He's still young enough that he's going to be there for a few years yet. He's a goal kicker too, which is important. They need a goal kicker. Because who's the other goalkeeper? Kicker Daly, maybe?
Daly
Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh was the other one in my side.
But Val's probably the best kicker. So
he hasn't even kicked well this year.
He hasn't done anything well this year. But I just would be stunned if Billy left him out because he's Val Holmes.
Who did you go?
I did go Val and the Hammer.
Yeah.
on the basis that, as I said, I've seen Val do this before. He's had a bit of a flat season, and then he pulls the Queensland jumper on and
no doubt
just plays so well. And the fact that they went away from Dane last series is the decision that lent me back to Val. It feels like they may have. I wouldn't say that they've closed the curtain on him.
They moved on, though.
But they did move on last year.
Do you need to move on in Origin? Well,
if they can play Selwyn Cobbo in the centres, if they don't want to pick Val there, pick another winger. Murray Talagi, right?
He hasn't been great either.
No, but you can play Selwyn's been outstanding in the centres, I think, for Brisbane. So I would have thought he's ahead of Dane Gagai as well, potentially as the centre. So.
I wonder if they even flirt with Val going back to the wing, considering how
Flipping and Cobbo.
Yeah, with how poor he's been potentially.
It's not a bad shout, Mick. Thanks for giving us some ideas, Billy.
Oh, you need help.
New South Welshman helping us out. We're going good.
Blaze Talagi, another story you're across this week, Dave. We'll just run through all your stories this week. We'll get through them all. But Blaze, testing the open market, had an option. We speak about options. He had an option.
Yeah.
His way for next season is intimated to the Eels that he won't take that up. Where do we see Blaze's future?
Yeah, look, 19 years of age, obviously a really strong talent, local junior from the Parramatta Eels, and the Eels want to keep him. They have offered him a new deal, an extended upgrade on 25, 26 and 27 for Blaze. However, he did have this option or trigger in his contract to trigger the 25 season, of which he's decided not to trigger and take himself to the open market. I don't think he's going to be short of offers, guys.
No.
But it's a little bit concerning if you're a Para fan when you see such a young kid not just sticking strong and going with the club.
Have they worked out his best position yet?
No,
Has he worked out his best?
I think he knows where he wants to. I think he's a 6, right? He's played a lot of 6, played a bit of centre.
We can't do that at Para.
Hasn't played a lot of fullback, and they're playing him at fullback this week.
He can't do that at Para, right? He can't play 6 or 7. And you'd assume that he can't play in the centres next year.
With Lomax going.
With Lomax going there as well.
I don't blame him for, if you consider yourself, I think they're trying to say he wants to be a fullback, right?
Yeah,
that was the suggestion.
The heir apparent to Clint.
He hasn't played a lot of fullback in his life.
We're going to get a great look at it tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll get a great look at it, for sure.
So I can sort of understand him looking around, given they brought over the top, they blocked his path with Dylan, they brought over the top of him with Zach Lomax. If you're a kid looking at that situation, and the club's promised to the world, we see you as our future, then you go and buy Zach Lomax over the top of him and you block his path with Dylan Brown. I can understand a guy actually looking around and seeing what's out there for him if his preferred positions are covered by other players. So
the only concern for that, Reedman, and I think you're spot on, the only concern is that clubs wanting to buy Blaze actually haven't seen him in the position that he wants to play either.
They would have, though, Dave, because they would have seen him.
Only through the lower grades,
right? They would
right?
have seen him in lower grades.
He's
not a kid who's come from nowhere.
I get
clubs
that.
have been aware of how good he is.
He's untested in the NRL.
We'll just throw a hypothetical.
So let's just say he's blowing the lights out at 5'8", right, for the Eels, and he still wants to move on. Well, there'd be mass interest in him, and he would be able to demand big money. But because we haven't seen that in the NRL, him testing the market, yes, I get that, but I don't know if he's going to maybe get the excessive amounts of dollars that he may get had we know what position he actually belongs in.
You're paying for potential, right? If you're saying, let's just throw a hypothetical out. You're the Dragons, okay? Total hypothetical here, and you want him to be a 6. Well, you're paying for upside. You're not paying for something that you've seen in first grade. So that
Lockie Galvin is a great example. We know that now this guy's an NRL player.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but he can come. I'm sure he can come. I'm sure that deal's not off the table at Parramatta. I mean, if it doesn't, if he looks elsewhere, he can always come back. I don't think he'll necessarily leave Parramatta. I don't think that's a fait accompli. I think he just wants to see what's out there, or his management do, see what's out there, and weigh it all up, and then make an educated decision on where his future should lie.
Parramatta is obviously in the news, and will be. They had the bye last week, so.
This is your favourite subject?
It's not my favourite subject at all. But where do we see Where do we see the future for Brad? There's obviously Brad Arthur, the coach. There's some suggestions around recruitment and retention and the like. Where are things at around Parramatta at the moment, Reedy?
Well, I think there's pressure on, right? I think that's pretty clear. If they miss the 8 this year, think most people assume Brad will be gone, but by then it's going to be too late. I mean, I think a lot of people think, and you're chief among them, Mick, who think Wayne Bennett's ready-made. That squad of Parramatta's ready-made for Wayne Bennett to come in and
but Wayne's not going there, so there's no point.
Well, that's the problem. So what do you do then? I'm sure Parramatta could turn around at the end of the year if they miss the 8 and go, well, there's no one better than Brad out there, so we'll stay with Brad. That would be the worst
decision.
Well, that's likely to happen, Mick.
They can't do that.
So where would you like them to move to? Because can you rule Wayne Bennett out? It's not happening.
Yeah.
So where are they going to move to?
They've got... Parramatta have two options in a way, right? They can go... We're going to blow up the joint now. We'll get rid of Brad, blow up the joint, move all those senior players on and start the process fresh, right?
Well, that's too hard, Mick. You can't get rid of all the senior players.
Not all of them, but it's not too hard because those blokes are still sellable.
Who are you saying, Junior, Reg?
Yeah, Gutho, all those, and
move on your captain at the end of the year.
I'm just saying, these are their options, right?
That's not a realistic option. Anyway, go on.
Or they stick with the players that they've got and then go all in the next 2 years and try and fine-tune that roster a little bit. I don't buy the fact that...
You're saying either way it's without Brad?
Has to be without Brad if they don't make the 8.
I think to Mick's first point, I think there'd be a natural attrition anyway from Brad leaving. I think there'd be... There's so many loyal players to Brad Arthur at that club.
Well, maybe that's what they need.
And so therefore... The club won't actually have to make decisions on the players. The players will make decisions for themselves that they don't want to play for the next coach.
Yeah, but the issue is they might leave it so late to make a call that...
teams find space for someone like Gutherson's on the market.
They're not going to cut loose Gutho. Are you serious?
Well, I'm just saying.
It doesn't matter who the coach is next year. You often describe him as their best player.
Well, he's their best player.
So you're saying they should cut him loose at the end of the year?
He may leave if Brad leaves.
He won't leave. Where's he going to go?
He won't get a club.
People would sign him. What are you talking about?
You're saying that Clint Gutherton's unsignable.
No, I'm not saying he's unsignable.
People would move. If he came in the market in November, people would find space for him straight away.
If that's the case, why would Parramatta let him go? If he's that in demand?
Because they just haven't... They've underachieved. So something needs wrong.
So cut your captain.
Something is wrong.
Best player.
I'm not saying that's what I would do. I said there's two options for them to go down. There's two paths to go down. You blow it up completely and you start again because you're gonna.
I don't think that's realistic, Mick.
With Parramatta, you're gonna have to do that in the next 2 years.
Yeah, but as Dave said, there'll be a natural attrition, not with the coach going, I think, but with players coming to the end of their contracts,
you're gonna have to
and you just roll them over,
You're gonna have to regenerate that roster within 2 years, no doubt. Right? That's why I still think Wayne is the best for him because they can go in. He's got 2 years.
Hold on, we've ruled. Wayne's not. We told you.
Boys, can you rule Wayne out? It's not happening.
Who's the alternative?
If they listened to me 6 months ago, that's what I would have done.
Who's your alternative? Can you give us a realistic alternative?
I'm going to give you a theory on why Wayne Bennett's no chance of Parramatta.
Give us some.
And that is that the Parramatta management structure are an all-inclusive structure where they have a recruitment retention committee and they have from chairman
they wouldn't with Wayne.
That's right.
They wouldn't with Wayne.
That's right. This is a chairman, CEO, head of footy,
but every club
head coach.
Every club, people smash this Parramatta recruitment committee.
I'm not bagging that. You're missing my point. What I'm saying is they want the inclusivity with the head coach.
They won't need
Wayne won't give them that, so why would they appoint a coach that won't give them that?
I disagree.
It won't happen.
I think Wayne's got the stature in the game that he can do what he wants to.
Yeah, I agree he does.
And I don't think...
But that football club likes inclusivity.
Yeah.
I think the issue is they'll just move too slow.
They'll move too slow.
That's the issue. It'll be resolved by then.
People talk about Parramatta's retention and recruitment. Which club doesn't have one of those?
Yeah. Look at Melbourne. Arguably the prototype club
I know that's not your point. That's not your point. No.
Melbourne got a recruitment committee that's got Frank Panissi, Paul Bunn.
They all have one.
Craig Bellamy, I think Rodski's, Matt Tripp's on it.
Anyone that alludes that the coach is not having significant say on the Parramatta roster is deluded.
Yeah, 100%. And they've said over and over again, Brad makes the ultimate decision.
Of course he does. And anyone that thinks otherwise, I don't think...
I'd argue that Craig in Melbourne actually has less power than Brad when it comes to recruitment because Craig can get overruled.
Yeah.
Look at the Tavita Pangai situation right now.
Imagine overruling Craig. That would be an interesting conversation.
Craig's interested in Tavita. Other people at the club aren't convinced on Tavita.
That'd be an interesting conversation.
So that's not happening. Well, I think Craig, he probably just goes, okay, boys, let's move on to someone else.
Yeah.
I think he'd surprise you. Because he respects the people who are in that room.
Just on Parramatta and Brad Arthur, I think he will know. I think he'll know when it's time to go.
You reckon he'll walk?
just think.
Well, that's what Buzz alluded to the other day.
Mate, he knows that as soon as it's at the point of no return, he'll go. He's been there 11 years.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows the football club. Yeah. He doesn't want to sink the club. He loves the club.
You still haven't given me an alternative coach. Can I throw one at you?
Yeah.
JD.
No.
JD. Jason Rolls.
No.
What's wrong with Rollsy?
I think that coach, that group with the senior players.
You're cleaning them out, though.
You are cleaning them out. Good point, Dave.
With the senior players that they've...
I need to see it.
With the senior players that they've got, I think they need an experienced coach.
So there's no one. You might as well. Brad's an experienced coach.
Did you not?
Been there 11 years.
You not read the back page of the paper? Jason Demetriou.
Oh, I don't know if I'm, with all respect to JD, I don't know if I'm sacking Brad.
He went to a prelim.
I don't know if I'm sacking Brad and picking up the coach straight away.
I'd probably agree with him. He's just
he needs a bit more time away.
Give him a little bit.
And reinvent himself.
So just on
hey guys, I'm just here to try and provide some options
for
the viewers and for the listeners to try and see who's out there. And you guys have come up with duck eggs.
Well, in Reedy's defence, he came up with Jason Rolls. I don't have an alternative.
Thank you.
Who are the senior?
What is
Rollsy doing again? Remind everyone.
He's like coach of the coaches, pathways down in Melbourne.
What about Madge?
But isn't he?
Madge, that's a good one.
Isn't he the replacement to Craig?
Craig's going again, please.
Yeah. What about Madge?
That's a good one. I like that one, Madge. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah,
good one, mate.
Madge.
Solve the problem, just like that.
So you're in.
I'm in. All in on Madge.
Well, you touched on JD, Jason Demetriou. Dave, you had a chat with him yesterday. Yeah. Firstly, how is he?
Yeah, he's good. Look, you've just been axed from a 24/7 job, right? It's amazing how your world just stops after being a head coach. I mean, these guys are 24/7, video, phone calls, player managers, CEOs, players, relationships with their...
And that's without coaching.
Relationships with their
the football
families.
element, yeah.
And suddenly, the phone just stops. It's incredible. Journos, that's right. And I've got to say, he's in a pretty good frame of mind, hey? Like, he was really upbeat, more concerned about his...
Reedy just hammering.
Got the same outfit on. What's
doing? Just hammering for those that are watching on YouTube. But the way he carried himself that morning,
outstanding,
is nothing that I've seen before from a coach that understood why the media were there. He got the significance of the story, wasn't shirty, said a few things, and then said, all right, guys, enjoy your day, thank you. And went home and coached his daughter's footy team.
Yeah, under 14s junior rugby league team. Interesting point, and this is to the credit to the man. Yeah. There were people within the football club that suggested, JD, there's a media pack out the front. Go around the back way, and we'll get a car, or we'll get you to your car away from the cameras. And he said to them, well, I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
I'll go out there and answer a few questions, and that's it, and be respectful.
And I think everyone was respectful.
It was quite funny because I was out there most of the day, and you saw there I was behind him coming from the back, and that's because I was sitting there having coffee, just waiting.
Here we go.
And suddenly this bloke walks past. He's gone, "Hey, Reedy," and it was JD, and I went, "Oh, JD." And then I realised I better chase this bloke because there were cameras just surrounding him. And man, he was fantastic. He's such a good bloke.
Yeah.
You know, guys like that, you want to see succeed. You want to see them go well. You want us to see him back in coaching because he's such a good fella. He's so good to deal with.
Yeah.
And look, he's got ability. Clearly, he has ability.
What's his part?
So he made the point. He made the point in the interview that that. Not only did they go to the prelim, so there's been there's all that talk about trying to take over from Bennett.
Yeah,
they went to the prelim, right? I think that's a tick that proves that he broke the curse of Wayne Bennett.
Yeah,
right. He then went the first 12 rounds leading the competition by beating Bennett, Bellamy, and Ivan Cleary in 3 straight weeks in the rounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, the guy can coach. Right,
yeah.
There's no denying the guy can coach. Then injuries. External, internal influences began to take hold, of which he admits he learnt so much from, as far as how to manage internal and external noises, of which he believes that challenge itself. Can we also remind ourselves the size of this South Sydney club? Whatever next club he goes to, except for the Broncos,
Roosters,
no. Right? He will not have the magnitude,
scrutiny
and spotlight of what it is to coach South Sydney.
Dave, what's his path back? Is it an assistant coaching role?
Good
is it
question,
Super
Mickey.
League? Is it... Because I don't think he's guaranteed to walk straight into a head coaching job.
No, I don't think... I think that would be his goal, but I think you have to be realistic.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is, Mick. I don't think he'd go back to the UK.
Maybe he follows the Seabold path. And Siebes was an assistant with Eddie Jones, assistant in Newcastle, and found a way back. Eventually a club took a chance on him. So, he played in England, didn't he? Did he coach over there or just played?
Yeah. He wasn't a head coach in the Super League, so...
So, maybe England's not... How old are his kids again, Dave?
Honestly, high school students.
Yeah, so that makes life difficult.
I think there's an element of... Hang on a sec. I have done that.
I don't need to prove myself again.
I don't. Unless there's bills to pay.
You can go. Why wouldn't you just go and be an assistant coach somewhere for a while?
I don't think.
Just so you're still in the system.
That's a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
You've got to stay relevant. You've got to stay in the systems.
Yeah, you got to stay part.
He's been at the Cowboys before. They could do with some help at the moment, the way that they're going.
Well, you touched on the Cows. What is going on there?
Hey, hang on a sec. Did you say as an assistant? Yeah. Honestly, at what point is this football club not reassessing where they're heading?
With Toddy?
With Todd.
What is going on there, Reedy? You're our Queensland.
I think they've forgotten how to defend. They couldn't defend last year either. They've been hopeless at times. They started the year so well.
They got beat up by a Queensland Cup side last week.
Yeah. They started the year...
they did. What are you laughing at? They did.
Yeah, they were awful.
How good are the Dolphins? But anyway...
How good are the Dolphins?
The first 3 or 4 weeks they were leading the comp, weren't they, after 3 or 4 rounds? And there was a soft draw. They had a soft draw to open the year. Maybe they got a false sense of security because they've been abysmal ever since. They've just been so inconsistent, and there's so much talent in that roster. There's such a talented roster. They should be playing top 8. They should be in the top 8. They should have been last year. They should be this year. But honestly, they're just defensively abysmal.
Does the pressure mount on Todd, or does he have...
Well, of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. It's got to. If we're talking about Brad, he's had. If they miss the 8 again this year, he's got to be under the microscope. There's got to be scrutiny on him.
So they had a 1-point win over Newcastle in round 2.
Yeah.
They beat St George Illawarra.
Yeah, that's a soft draw.
Right. Then the Broncos pounded them. Right. Then they beat the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then Parramatta beat them.
Yep.
Then the Sharks smacked them.
Yeah.
Panthers beat them. That was a close game, 26-20. And then last week the Dolphins took care of them. This is a huge game, guys.
Yeah, they got
Titans.
That is a big game
on Sunday. It's huge.
Where is that game?
You don't think we're going to be
starting?
starting?
Who wins that one?
I think I tipped the Cowboys, but with no, I can't have any confidence in either of those teams.
Yeah, it's a fair point, Reedy. But I must say, the Titans are starting to turn the wheel, aren't they?
They are. But the David Fifita thing's been going on all week. You wonder how that's going to impact them, how it's going to impact Dave.
Chad Townsend back for the Cowboys helps. But no confidence whatsoever in this Cowboys side. I think was highly embarrassing. And I think internally, they're starting to seriously have a look at themselves, the way they were beat up by that Dolphins side.
They're so lucky they're up in Townsville, right? They're not. Imagine that was a Sydney
JD,
club.
Right?
Exactly. They would be getting hammered.
It'd be the JD, Brad Arthur, Todd Payton.
But they're up in Townsville, they're a bit out of sight, out of mind, which eases the pressure on Todd and that group. But they're about to get hit by Origin too. They'll lose Nanai, Val,
Ruben
Cotter. If there's injuries, maybe they'll lose Dearden at some point.
Maybe
Talagi.
Yeah, so they've got a tough month coming up.
Robson, potentially. And the other side that's been erratic this year is your Warriors, Dave. What's going on there?
Dude, I can't get my finger on this. Look, there's been a bit of a factor of injuries. Have played a role. Capel was a key signing for them. He's missed a couple of games. He's come off the field with an injury in games. I think the injury to Metcalf upset their spine ambitions to start the year. I think Sean Johnson clearly isn't playing the football of which he was last year.
That is the point for mine. The biggest difference for the Warriors at the moment is the lack of polish, game management, end of sets that Sean Johnson was able to produce last year that he's not producing this year. And, their forwards are still doing a job and marching up the field. They had a lot of opportunities against the Knights. They got down the Knights' end pretty consistently, but they just didn't throw anything at him with the football. And I think a lot comes down to on Sean Johnson's shoulders, because as you alluded to, he's not producing what we saw from him last year.
They're almost the flip side of North Queensland, and North Queensland's defence has let them down. The Warriors' attacks let them down.
I think the gap.
If you look at them defensively, the Warriors, they've been pretty good this year.
They're not as far off as the Cowboys are.
No.
You know, I don't think the Warriors are as in dire straits as what North Queensland and probably Parramatta are at the moment. They're not as far off from challenging back.
But it starts entering dire straits if they don't start winning footy games.
But I mean, if they're not top 4, their performances
but if they're not
bad.
top 4, Mick, they can't win it. They're not top 4 for me.
No.
Well,
it's too hard.
No one can win basically if they're not.
No, I think a side like the Broncos could finish out to the top 4, get Reynolds back, and they can make a run at it. But I don't think the Warriors can. You can't. Not
So they play the Roosters on Sunday.
It's a big game.
It's a huge game, and I was just thinking about last year. If this game was drawn, we're probably all tipping the Warriors the form that they were in.
I almost tipped the Warriors this week.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I just had a feeling.
The Roosters are red hot.
They are, but just had a feeling, Just felt like the Warriors at some point they're too good to keep playing the way they are.
This is the strongest lineup that I can name.
Yeah, which we haven't seen. I think people were saying since 2019.
I didn't tip them. I said I almost tipped them.
We're not smashing you. We're just having
a go, aren't you?
Yeah.
We're having a go.
Well, you're just embarrassing yourself.
Some good games this weekend. Jesus, some good games.
While we're touching on sides that are a bit erratic at the moment, where do we rank the West Tigers starts of this year?
Can we cut them some slack? Seriously, they're a better football team this year.
How?
You don't think they've been a better football team this year?
They're definitely better.
Of course they're better than what they were.
The results aren't showing that.
The results are not showing it because they
haven't been the last 5 weeks.
They haven't been better. They haven't been able to string very few performances are 80 minutes. They can't find 80 minutes, but they are a better side than they were last year.
Yeah.
But they have to win games, though. Otherwise, they're going to.
But it's a gradual process, right? I mean, they won the wooden spoon last year and the year before. Yeah. So it's not going to happen overnight. I don't know why people thought after they won, played well early in the season that suddenly they were going to be.
I think people just thought they'd win more games. I think we would have thought they would have won more games.
Well, they'll probably hopefully at the end of the year they end up winning more than last year. Well, the way they're going at the moment, they are.
Yeah.
But
so what would that say?
Well, that would say that they've improved, but not enough.
Come on, mate.
I don't think they've
got better.
I mean, with all due respect, have you seen that South? If the Dragons can't beat South Sydney on the weekend.
Gold Coast only won one game.
Brandy Alexander tipped South to beat Saints.
Did he? What's that about?
I don't know. What are you doing,
Brandy's been in Japan for the last few weeks. Yeah. Probably hasn't. He went and got Gurmit Shibasaki for South while it was over there.
Well, I think the criticism of the Tigers is a bit off the mark. I think it's a bit harsh.
I don't think it's
top.
No.
Hang on a second.
Saying they haven't got better from last year.
I don't think it's over. I think that there's criticisms warranted of where they're going, but I don't think
of where they're going,
of where they're at the moment. Right?
If Clint Gutherson kicks that goal, they've got one win on the board. And Cronulla played.
He didn't though.
Cronulla have lost one game, and that was it. They played like.
He didn't.
Let me reframe it. Like the criticism is warranted, but I don't think they're going anywhere near as bad as they have been the last couple of years.
And Riccio's just got his feet under the table.
What's Riccio going to do with the witches' hats out on the footy field? Seriously,
mate, they're changing the roster, Dave. Okay,
hey,
it's a process, Dave.
Well, let's talk about that.
It's a process, Dave. Give him some time. Okay, he's been there 2 seconds. Okay, give him some time. Benji's only been the head coach. I know he was there last year, and he probably was coaching the side.
I'm sitting somewhere in between here of your criticism and your optimism. I think there's a middle ground.
You're the pragmatism.
I'm not as critical as Dave on their start, but I think I'm not as optimistic that they've turned the corner yet.
I'm not saying they've turned the corner. I'm saying they're better. And give them time. It takes time. When you've been where they have been for a decade, you can't expect overnight success. It will take time.
So what about this weekend against the Newcastle Knights?
Well, I've tipped them. Why are you laughing? You're the guy me about tipping them as well.
The Knights. If the Knights win, that's huge. 3 from 3 without Caleb.
That's huge.
And if they can somehow get in a position that they're competing for a top 8 spot when Kalen gets back in 10 weeks time.
I think their goal, my understanding was their goal was to win it. If they thought if they could win 5 of those 10 games, and then Carlin comes back, there'd be a pass mark. They could get to 3 already. 3-3. Unbelievable.
Hey, man, you just touched on Riccio just having a major influence in turning that club around. The biggest question of all is Stefano.
I said it's a process, Dave. Stefano, yes.
That's the biggest question of all.
Well,
it's going to be like once that story hits what he does, that will provide a lot of clarity around that roster.
I reckon they're rank outsiders to keep him at the moment.
Rank outsiders,
I don't think, as it stands right now, that Stefano will be there next. Well, he might be there next year because of the clauses, but if he is there next year, I don't think he'll be there the year after.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Unless there's a dramatic change in some way.
Wasn't there an indication that they're going to put a long-term deal to him?
Yes.
But that still may not be enough, because you would think that if he's available to talk to other clubs, rival clubs are still going to put a long-term deal too.
It's interesting because one of the clubs he was linked with was Penrith, obviously, but they signed Dave Fafita, he can put a line through Penrith. But maybe the Gold Coast enters the equation. So
I just think that'll give us a great indication on the trajectory of the Tigers if one of the great young
I don't know that it will, Dave, because I think Stefano's mind was made up a long time before. It's been made up for a while,
by putting the clauses in.
Yes, I don't think Stefano. Look, if they can convince him to stay, it's a great endorsement for the club. But in my mind, from what the way I understand it, it doesn't matter. I think Stefano wants to look elsewhere. So,
but surely, if that was the case 6 months ago or this time last year when things were shambolic and Benji's come in and you're happy, your mind could change.
I think. I would think it would take a significant shift for the mind to change.
Well, they signed Jerome.
I don't think there's been a significant shift.
Yeah.
I think there's been a positive shift, but I'm not sure it's enough.
Okay. They have signed Taruva and Luai.
And Taruva was a good signing for them. They snuck under the guard of the Dragons and whoever else was in for him to sign him was another positive sign, Dave. Onwards and upwards, baby. Benji, we trust.
All right, pod questions. Chris wants to know South Sydney recruitment targets. Cody Walker and Cook move on early due to high price tag and future succession plan. Can't see Bennett keeping a 34 and 32-year-old for 3 years. Well, I don't think they'll be keeping him for 3 years. They're both contracted for a further 12 months. I'd be shocked if Wayne moves Cody on. I don't think that will happen.
I don't think they'll re-sign him though.
I don't think they'll re-sign him either. No. But he'll become a year-by-year proposition.
Yeah.
I guess if Wayne gets in there and whoever the coach is gets in there and has a look. And
Cookie?
Damien Cook's an interesting one. I think he wants to retire, Rabbitoh. I think they've, spoken about a transition post-football of staying at the club and working in a role there. What does that mean if he goes elsewhere for 12 months or 24 months? How do you balance that? You're, a guaranteed job post-footy to extend your NRL career elsewhere for 12 months. That's where it gets tricky. Look, I think if Damien Cook hit the market, someone would sign him for 12 months or because there's just there's not a lot of hookers.
No.
Like the Dragons, I'd say, I haven't spoken to anyone there, but you'd assume that if he hit the open market as a stopgap solution, they might look at him. I'm sure other clubs would as well.
You haven't spoken to anyone there?
Not about.
You're their pseudo recruitment officer, aren't you?
No,
the Dragons.
That's Dave's job now.
Oh, sorry.
Not about Damien Cook. No,
okay.
because
who about then?
Well, I think look, to Chris's.
Who about?
To Chris.
Hold on. He's got something.
I don't have anything.
To Chris's question in relation to South Sydney recruitment targets, it all comes down to Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
And I spoke to someone very close to Wayne this week, and I asked if Wayne had a look at the South Sydney salary cap as yet. Because once Wayne looks at the South Sydney salary cap, I think he's in for a few surprises.
He'll be horrified, mortified.
I think he's going in for a few surprises. And that is when we'll see some tapping on the shoulders, some phone calls to managers of current players and say, listen, if you feel like you can get another deal for your player, we suggest you do.
Yep.
And I think that'll happen. And then we'll see, target-wise, recruitment targets, see who Wayne can bring in. I don't know who that is at this point in time.
Peter wants to know, is it hard writing negative stories about players and coaches that you really like? Who wants to answer this one?
Horrible. It's horrible. And Brad's an example. I really like Brad Arthur, but I've written a couple of stories and said a couple of things that I'm sure Brad doesn't like. It's horrible. But it's part of it's our job, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we've got to tell some hard truths and have an opinion on stuff.
Well,
right?
we all like JD.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think anyone that doesn't like JD, but we were all...
You don't like Brad?
Stop it. We're all of the decision, like I was comfortable with the decision for JD to be moved on at South, right? That's a prime example where we're all saying the fact that, JD's time is done, despite the fact of...
Madge was one. Madge is a classic example.
Yeah, Madge, yeah.
You wrote about Madge and his future declared him
18
sacked. And we love Madge, a great fella.
I don't think the subject has an issue so long as you're not overinflating or over-dramatising the situation or making it personal the situation.
I think some do, Dave. Some have an issue.
Well, if you're reporting factually on what is happening at the footy club, what are the results, what's the impact, what behind the scenes decisions are being made around we're using a head coach as an example. They can't be too disenchanted with your style of reporting because you're only reporting fact. If a player has a misdemeanor off the field, we report fact. If it's involved in police charges, we report police charges. The subject cannot have an opportunity to complain about that style of reporting. It's when it becomes personal.
It's when you wade into opinion as well. I mean, sometimes we write comment pieces that... And again, that was the classic example. Madge was the classic example where you're asked your opinion of whether he should still be coached. And I mean, at the time, I think I was saying that either him or Luke Brooks has to go. One of them has to go to resolve it. And Madge didn't like it.
They both went.
They both went in the end.
You were right, Reedy. Lieutenant wants to know if David Fifita signs a contract
little name, isn't it?
for less than New Zealand, so $150,000
I think that's his real name.
Then does this impact other second rowers' value in the market if they're asking for the same money and aren't the same ability? So if David Fifita resets the market value of a gun back rower at $850,000, does that have a flow-on effect for Jaden Sewer, Angus Crichton?
No.
Who else?
He's on
Who are the other ones?
He's on a million. He's already reset the market. He's taken a pay cut to go there.
Well, that's what they're saying though. If he's worth $850, does that mean Angus Crichton's worth?
They're
X
saying
amount?
it's less.
That's what I'm assuming. That's the question, right? Does that impact the market for someone like Jaden Sewer or Angus Crichton? I'd say no because those discussions are probably
scarcity affects it. That impacts their value. The lack of available back rowers who are out there. I mean, I think Jaden's value has sort of gone up a little bit. He's obviously held out an initial contract offer from the Dragons, played good footy. I think what's impacted his value is that there's not a lot of second rowers out there, not a lot of edge back rowers.
There's
he's played good football
out there at the moment, is there?
Not,
if you're looking for, we say that about hookers, we say that about middle.
COVID impacted the development of players.
There's just not a lot out there.
Yeah. Well, expansion hurt as well a little bit to an extent.
Archie wants to know who should play halfback for the Cowboys moving forward: Chad Townsend or Jake Clifford?
Moving forward, where though? When?
I'm assuming this season.
This season, yeah, I'd say the same.
I'd stick with Chad.
And then if it's not this season, Chad's off contract.
Don't underestimate an experienced halfback.
Yeah, I think Chad, for the time being, end of the season, I don't know. I don't know what the system's like.
Chad wants to go. He's off contract.
Yeah, he wants
Chad wants to go around again next year.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure whether I'd go around with Chad again next year. Particularly if they underperform this year.
I agree with.
They've got to shake it up, right?
I agree with both those things. I'd stick with Chad at the moment, and then if he can't guide them into the finals again, the decision will be made before then, obviously. But if they're not pushing for a final spot, then it's time to move on. All right, guys, stay with me here. Scott. Thoughts on my bunker solution? They only get 3 views at normal speed. If they can't see an obvious error, the ref's decision stands. Speeds up the process, still eliminates the howler, but stops the nitpicking. Game isn't played slow-mo, so it shouldn't be ref that way either.
No, sorry, Scotty. You need slow-mo. I get where you're coming from. The slow-mo 27 times I don't like. However, when you're assessing a grounding of a football, can we just put a caveat that the Api Coruscant try isn't part of this discussion?
Howler. That was a howler.
That was a howler.
Yep.
When you are assessing a grounding of a footy, you have to be able to assess separation in slow-mo. You have to.
Yeah, and I don't like capping. People say, I don't like capping the replays. What if you need a 4th look at it to get it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard. People want to put a time frame on it and stuff like that. I don't think you can do that. Another one around the bunker. This was an email from Matt. In rugby union at the moment, the on-field officials and television match official,
I think so.
is that a TMO?
That sounds right.
Work together for the initial decision, with the on-field ref often leading the discussion, as they're the ones who need to justify it with the players on the field. Decisions that are on the field that are yellow-red border are yellow carded, and then the bunker has 7 minutes to review.
God, stop.
Oh,
There you go.
I've confused
7 minutes.
So in rugby union, does the match official, what do? They communicate with the bunker and talk them through.
Can I give you some advice? Can we not try and replicate anything to do with rugby union?
Yeah. How about we just get the people in the bunker to do a better job?
Exactly.
Well, the technology's not the issue. It never has been.
That's
I hate
why
it
we
when people say blow up the bunker.
Really?
The issue isn't the bunker. It drives me insane.
That's why we got you in the podcast.
What's that?
Just getting people to do a better job.
Oh,
That's why we got
You're
you
saying
in.
I do a bit? Oh, thanks, man. Rock on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Anyway,
Tyson.
the issue is they just need the people in the bunker to do a better job. Fair dinkum.
What's for dinner, Dave?
I'm going to stick a roast chook in the oven tonight.
Ooh.
With
I'm good. I might just. You could go the whole vegetables and all that jab: potatoes, carrots, pumpkin. Right. However, I'm not going to do that.
this is reedy areas. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep roast chook, simple, and maybe some Lebanese flatbread.
Okay.
And make some chicken wraps.
Can I just make a suggestion?
No.
Lemon,
Inside your chicken, you stuff it with a lemon, garlic, and rosemary.
What do you cook then?
I actually hadn't given a lot of thought.
there's
Well,
But you know
we're
what
not
I'm
going to have
thinking?
chicken wings,
You know
that's
what
for
I'm
sure.
thinking? I won't have chicken, no chicken. I'm thinking maybe something on the rotisserie on the Weber.
It's raining.
It's
Outside.
undercover, mate.
Okay.
It's on the deck.
I forgot about
It's on the deck.
The three-story.
You know what I'm thinking about getting though? Here's something for you.
Three-story
Because we've got a
on the northern
Weber
beaches.
barbecue outside.
Yes,
I think I'm
Brent.
buying a pizza oven to go with it.
I got
beside
one.
it. Have you really?
Gosney Rock Box.
Does it go good?
Hey, listen.
It's actually the
Gosney.
one you sent me.
Gosney Rock Box is the greatest invention, greatest pizza oven you will
What do you
ever
put in your
get.
pizzas? How do you do it? What's
You make your own dough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a wood. You get the wood fire crisp edges, right? Because it's a flame. It's a rolling flame, right? And you cook pizzas in 2 minutes.
Could I put that on my deck, or would it be a fire hazard?
No, I've got mine on my deck.
Okay,
Same photo.
I'm going to buy
I
one.
did
He
say-
did send me a
I
photo.
did
He
say
sent
it's
it to
on-
me,
it's
and
on
I
my deck.
reviewed it, and the reviews were amazing. But there's one issue: I haven't nailed my pizza bases, so I need your base recipe.
Yeah, I'll get that.
All right, thanks everyone for joining the Daily
What are you
Telegraph.
having?
We're having chicken pesto pasta, I think.
Oh yeah.
I despise pesto. Oh,
Why?
He
I hate pesto.
The two fussiest eaters that I've ever encountered. Brent Reed.
can I tell you a quick
Michael
pesto story?
No,
A really quick one. My dad came down to visit. He said, I'm going to cook you a meal. He said, I'm going to cook salmon for you. He coated it in pesto. Like, ruin this.
Says.